Let's run a thought experiment. Say you're running a company, and to your delight, you have been on an upwards growth trajectory in the initial days. You, however, like to and have to think ahead. You want to keep growing positively, but have been struggling to understand the preferences of your customers and thereby deliver personalized experiences. This can be a major obstacle towards achieving your growth objectives. What do you do? Worry not. Hi, my name is Anand, and this is the line along which we are going to have our discussion today. Please join me to welcome our guest, Mr. Santosh Kumar Sahu, VP of Global Telco Solutions, E-Mobility, and IoT at Teliolabs. Santosh has a rich academic background with master's degrees in computer applications and artificial intelligence and machine learning, both from BITS Pilani. Working with various telcos across US, Europe, and APAC, covering diverse areas in both B2B and B2C domains for over 19 years, Santosh has built a remarkable expertise, and we shall try to gain from it today. We also have Mr. Sri Rajalingam, CTO and Director at Noesis Private Limited, who is based out of Singapore. Sri entered the IT industry after completing his BS in electronics and master's degree in computer applications from the University of Madras. In his profound experience of close to 3 decades, he has seen transformations in the industry, the growing importance of data, and ingenious methods to harness it in real time. We will talk about something called a CDP, the what, the why, and the how about it, and believe that this is the quintessential panel to enlighten us today. Welcome, Santosh and Sri. We are pleased and feel lucky to have you here with us today.
Sure. Thanks, Anand, for having me on this webinar. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
Lovely. So let's begin with the questions, shall we?
Yep, sure.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'll start with Santosh. So Santosh, would you like to tell us what real-time holistic CDP is and introduce us to it?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking that question. So just to give a bit of context to it so that our audience kind of understand where we are coming from, right? So when we talk about this real-time holistic CDP, so apparently we are referring to a customer data platform, which kind of communicates in real time with the customers, gets the data, and does the engagement with the customer in a very, superior way as compared to the various other methods that exist today, right? So, I mean, when I talk about this real-time holistic CDP, so essentially it is linked to the various data sources that are associated with any business enterprise, right? So be it digital enterprise or the partners, maybe the channel partners, right? So there are various sources from which a business enterprise basically gets the data. Now, how that data is kind of leveraged in a way to the advantage of the customer or the business enterprise who is kind of looking for, or implemented a particular CDP solution, right? So customer data platform. Now, some of the very fundamental and key challenges is with respect to these data, various data sources, is the kind of wide variety of data and format, okay? And, is there a platform which can support that range of, or the wide variety of data and format with various payloads and the frequency? So that is very important, one of the very important aspects. And once you kind of solve the technical problem, then what it comes is how do you leverage that data? Because otherwise it will be just like, you're sitting on a gold mine without realizing that there is so much of potential and value that can be created out of it. So that is where it becomes very paramount, and it's very crucial that how do we leverage that data and how do we generate the insight out of that data? And once you kind of generate the insight out of that data, then, how do you use it to the advantage of the customer? Yeah, in the marketplace, because there are many other players who are also competing in the same space, for products or services maybe. So if I talk about an example of a banking system, for example, so there are many ATM machines through which the end user is doing a transaction, withdrawal, be it withdrawal, deposit, or whatsoever, right? Or similarly, you go to any sort of retail store where this point of sale transaction machines are there, where through which the user is also doing a lot of transactions. Humongous, billions of transactions are happening. And be it the retail banking transactions or or be it the mobile app through which the user is actually making a transaction through the, in the bank, or be it the web portal through which the customer could access. So I just mentioned some of these, or even it could be an IVR as well, which is being, provided by the banking system. So this generate, it's not only again the transaction data only, it could be non-transactional data also, right? So these data are gathered, generated and gathered from various sources. Then, that comes to CDP, the customer data platform. And again, when I say these data could come via batch processes or various other processes, depending on the nature of the transactions which is happening, or it could be real time as well. Okay. Now that data is being injected into the CDP platform, through which again CDP performs various functions. For example, if you look at CDP, it could be a data CDP or a decision CDP or engagement CDP, or it's kind of a full package of the CDP to leverage various functions. Maybe, I would like to, ask Sri about, throw some light about what is a data CDP, decision CDP, or engagement CDP, just to kick off the conversation.
Sure. Thanks, Santosh. Yeah, definitely. So as you had highlighted, the key is from any engagement or handling customer itself, whether it's experience or engagement, managing that. The critical aspect is understanding well the customer, and in order to do that understanding and do that engagement, there's 3 stages are there. Insights, where you understand the customer and decide when to engage, and then the action itself, what to engage with or how to engage. So in order to make these right insights, or get the right insights, the decisions and the actions, it's critical that customer, they have this holistic kind of view of all the data points that are about the customer. And that's where the holistic CDP comes into play, where it can help in that process of gaining insights, making decisions, and taking actions. And as you highlighted, the data CDP, which helps to consolidate data from various data sources, which can be various touch points of the customer, or it can be various systems where the customer data is captured, whether it's a KYC data or a digital interaction data, or as you mentioned, the transactional data coming from an ATM or a POS system in a bank scenario. Now, all these data is very critical to understand the customer behavior. So it's all consolidated, and if a customer just wants to get the insights only, then data CDP is a choice that they can make. Whereas if the customer now, because all this data is aggregated in one place, then they also have the power to make decisions on what to do next. So those kind of decisions, if they want to make, then we usually propose a decision kind of CDP. And then finally, a full stack CDP is required when they really want to engage with the customer and have a holistic kind of approach of engagement experience management. Then we usually propose an engagement CDP. And from an Oasis perspective, the CDP that we have can address individually if they require, whether it's a data requirement for insights or decisions, wherein we make decisions and propagate the decisions to other systems, or have a full stack engagement. If the customer wants a full stack CDP with the engagement, we can offer. So all these 3 capabilities are offered as part of Swift platform. Santosh, yeah.
Yeah. Having had thank you for the introduction, Santosh and Sri. Having had that look into what CDP is, what a real-time holistic CDP is, let me come to Sri again. If you'd like to further elaborate on why do enterprises need a CDP?
Okay, a good question, and that's again always because of the number of CDPs out there. There's always this big confusion. What is CDP? People don't understand about whether we should consider a data mart as a CDP, or we need a dedicated CDP, and all those confusion is there. So from an enterprise perspective, in order to manage customer experience and engagement, it's critical to understand customer behavior holistically, and not only understand, but understand that at the instance that the actions are taken by their customers, right? It's not like I do a transaction and after 2 days only I can realize, oh, I did one of my customer did a transaction. That's not the case. And in a holistic CDP, what we believe in is, to provide that realistic insights about customer behavior in the CDP platform in real time. So that's very critical, whether it's engagement or experience management. The next one is to understand the preference of the customer, whether he wants to use which channel to engage with, what is the preference of the customer, or what time to engage. All these kind of preferences of customers. That's where CDP comes into play, where since you have this holistic data, you can derive those kind of insights and use it for your bettering your engagement and experience process. The next part is the context of engagement. When you engage, you need to know why you're engaging, and to understand that context information is very important. And that's where CDP, again, because of this behavioral information and the entire profile information is gathered in the CDP, that helps to do that. And finally, not to leave out the governance piece of it, and where a lot of people don't, a lot of CDP vendors don't focus much, whereas we focus that, which is very critical, and we have a very good governance framework, because whether it's a regulatory requirement or a customer experience requirement, there are a lot of governance in place. I send the SMS, you can't keep, like, for example, take SMS. If I send the SMS, when would I send the next SMS to the customer? Or when I send a mail, when would the next mail need to be sent? Or if I have a do not disturb kind of flag, I opted for not to unsubscribe from getting messages. That's again a governance. This is also part of the CDP, in order to make sure that the engagement and the experience is managed well. So, and all these factors drive few things. One is to offer a consistent omni-channel user experience, to decide when is the right time to do the contextual engagement, and to understand better and get the right behavioral insights to make better decisioning and take better actions by understanding the customer. And all this, when you put all this together and when you automate this without much manual process, that's when the end-to-end automation happens, and we have automated engagement process or user experience management happens. So all this, in order to achieve all what I said just now, you really need a proper holistic CDP. Without that, the customers would not be able to achieve all these factors.
Along the same thread, let me come to Santosh. If you'd like to add something about the value of the real-time CDP, holistic CDP.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of these points Sri already highlighted, but I'll just take you to a couple of examples and scenarios maybe, right? So few years ago, I mean, if you kind of look at how these call centers operated, okay, so you dial a particular number, then it will ask, okay, if you are already having a product or service, then dial 1. If it is having a fault, dial 2. Then if it is a fault, then what kind of fault it is. If you just think for a second from a customer's perspective, what experience are we really giving to the customer? Is it really a customer's problem to kind of go and switch through the hierarchy of the number sequencing and get into the right person? Absolutely not, right? So that is where, when Sri was mentioning about the contextual information. Now, if I'm a customer, I called up the call center. So I definitely called up because of some context. Be it my issue with the billing, or be it my issue with the service, or there is a, if it is a, telco service, maybe my router is not working or whatsoever. It could be, right? Or maybe a particular ATM is not available. It's not working. I want to, phone up the bank and find out what is the issue, right? So there can be n number of situations. So nowadays, the customer experience, expectation has evolved as well, where the customer is, kind of expecting that it's not about me getting a product or service. You also need to understand me, what I'm expecting. And so that is a lot of behavioral pattern and context of that particular customer who is looking for a particular information, or maybe it is a query about a product or service, right? So that is where if CDP platform is there, then it can kind of create that contextual background to the customer. That is a very important thing if you have to give a superior customer experience. The number two factor is, I would say, the behavioral pattern of a customer. Why behavior? Because what the customer is expecting or going to do depends quite a lot about the behavior. Okay, and that is where understanding the behavior is a very, very crucial factor here, right? Because if you look at a lot of marketing activities, I know marketing is a very big domain to kind of discuss and debate, but a lot of these marketing activities actually are driven by the behavioral pattern or the way the customer is behaving, or his product consumption of the product or service, right? Or what are they talking about in the social media, whether they're liking the product, not liking the product. So that can provide a lot of insight into the product and service, right? And that is where the marketing activities could influence, or the way how the enterprises are actually engaging with the customer could change, right? So that is why these are very, very important activities. Number one, you are getting a very contextual view of the customer, and you are kind of getting a holistic view of the customer. You're trying to understand the behavioral pattern of the customer, right? And that actually opens up a wide network of opportunities that you need to engage the way you want to engage with the customer. That's why, I mean, these are some of the very key or important factors which a real-time holistic CDP provides, which is not essentially provided by a data mart or other sort of data lake kind of functionalities, where it's all about getting the data, gathering the data, and you build the static insight out of it, right? But it is more about the dynamic engagement with the customer and creating value for the enterprises. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, certainly it does. And to me, what I could gather is a CDP provides an all-permeating, omnipresent eye to the customer across the entire, to the business owner across the entire business, which to me is nothing short of a superpower. But yeah, on a different, I'd say, plane, it all boils down to the ROI, right? For businesses, they think, to my understanding, in terms of ROI. So, Shri, how to drive the ROI using the real-time holistic CDP?
Yeah, well, when it comes to ROI, so when people spend money on CDP, there are a few things that they expect to happen. First thing is realization of revenue, which is how quick they can realize and address the ROI. And that's where again for a CDP platform, it should be easy enough to quickly implement and quickly launch revenue generating services, right? That's one of the key factors that is looked upon when customers select a CDP, and that's where from a SIF perspective, that's exactly what we try to achieve. The second thing is how the insights, the capability to quickly get insights. That's an important factor, because you don't want to have a lost opportunity kind of scenario, right? So that addresses your revenue. So how to quickly get revenues and have the right engagement happening through better customer experience. So that like having the personalized engagement by showing the relevant content or relevant offer, and that again contributes back to your revenues and the take-up rates, and the reducing of cost of engagement. So the other dimension to ROI is how you can reduce your cost to engage. And here again, when we talk about reduced cost, it can be making sure when we send the offer, it's the right offer and the take-up rate is higher. And you don't waste your resources by sending non-relevant offer to someone, or non-relevant messages to people. And also when it comes to cost of engagement, time to market, the efficiency part is also very critical. How efficiently you can run your platform. Say I have an idea, how long it's going to take? It should not take weeks or months to launch an idea that you may have from either a customer experience idea or a customer engagement idea. So how quick you can time to get that way. So, and again, that is addressed in the platform by ease of use and no code, low code kind of strategies. We try to address that so that people, when they get an idea, they can quickly configure and launch it. And these are all the factors that address the ROI needs of our customers from a platform perspective. Anna.
Yeah, so just to add to what Sri mentioned, I mean, basically you can think of it as a multidimensional approach, right? As far as ROI is concerned. So one is the technology platform. So that is one dimension where the speed to market is really faster with a lot of configurability, right? So you don't have to understand the technology really to launch a particular campaign and those kind of stuff. So that is where you achieve faster time to market of launching your products and services. So that is one way of realizing faster realization of revenue. The other ways, just to reiterate on other dimensions, right? So how do you build customer loyalty? Again, that is another thing, right? So that you have sustainable and long-term recurring revenue coming out of the customer. So that is another dimension as well, right? So whether you acquire more customers or you save cost in terms of your overall technical debt of a platform, right? So that is also another kind of important factor. Yeah, and this truly kind of uncovers the hidden opportunities which are lying out there. Otherwise, without CDP, you may not even realize, if that particular opportunity exists. So that is another dimension to how you can maximize, unlocking hidden opportunities which you can potentially use it, right, for promoting various services and cross-sell, upsell. Anyway, so that is there with a lot of customer behavior patterns. You can understand what would be the right, kind of plans or products or services that you are going to offer to the customer. Yeah. So just wanted to add some of the points.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Santosh. Thank you, Sri, for the answers. And on the note of Sri mentioning the correct message going to the correct person, this has been, I know, and I suppose this has quite been my experience as well firsthand. Is say I receive a message and consistently there is some entity pestering me with messages which are irrelevant to me. So the marketing campaign that the company that is sending me the messages is running is with the intention of increasing its customers base. But instead of just not including a customer, it is creating a sense of disdain in me who could be a potential customer sometime down the line. So in that case, yeah, it certainly makes a lot of sense to me as an individual, and certainly to the enterprises, to have an intelligent system in place so that they are not doing things that they absolutely don't intend to. And
just to address that, Anaxi, why people do that? One of the reasons why people do that, their lack of data, right? And or the type of data they use to do that engagement. They will only have your digital data, maybe, nothing much that they may use to engage. So from a holistic CDP, that's the other part which is important, right? To where the CDP should be able to process and instantly process data from all your touch points. So your number of valid opportunities are increased. It's not that you run many campaigns with the limited amount of data you have. That's not how you have efficient marketing. You'll have, like you rightly mentioned, fatigue kind of things will set in, right? Just for the sake of sending campaign. The problem why it is because the number of opportunity they can identify is much less, because the data they use is much less. That's why we call ourselves a holistic CDP, wherein we say that, why don't you pump in all your interaction data, all your touch point data, all your customer data into our platform and get that holistic view of the customer. Then you can identify many opportunities. When you do a POS transaction, when you do an ATM transaction, when you buy a top up, when you go to your website, when you go to a digital page or mobile app, you have the opportunity. You can identify opportunity.
Certainly, yeah. I totally agree to that. And let's try and augment our understanding. And I suppose we can do this very well through a use case. Let me come to Santosh with that particular request. So, Santosh, if there's a use case that you can elaborate that will help us consolidate our understanding of the real-time holistic CDP, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, right. I mean, let me give you a couple of examples, right? So, cross-sell, upsell is definitely one of the areas where once you understand the customer better, that is where you can maximize the potential to kind of generate more revenue out of it. and that's a very standard, sort of use case. And similarly, you can reduce the kind of customer churn because you understand who is at the verge of churning out, being your customer as an enterprise, right? So, and based on that, you can have certain retention sort of offers and all those kind of. I mean, normally you look at even the banks and telcos, they do quite a lot, right? And for example, if I talk about a telco example here, I mean, if you put a port out request to a particular telco, immediately you will get a call from the operator stating that, what is the kind of problem that the customer is facing, and they try to retain the customer through not only the conversation and trying to help him with the problem that the customer is facing, right? Similarly, every industry has its own set of context where they can, understand whether the customer is at the verge of churning out, and that is where if they can put certain kind of offers or resolution to the problems for the customer. Okay. And similarly, there would be a lot of gamification use cases, and wherein you talk about the nudge use cases or instant gratification. I mean, for example, if you have walked into a nearby retail store, maybe shopping mall or whatsoever, right? So based on the network data, so your location data, which even they could gather from the various telcos or these players, where they in real time they would understand where the customer is located. So based on that, there can be very quick kind of offers and those kind of things pushed to the customer in real time, because while the customer is at that location, he's able to avail the kind of offers from the maybe the same shopping mall or maybe the nearby whatever the stores who are part of this whole ecosystem in CDP. Okay, so those the customer could be utilizing those. I mean, just take an example of the way Google or Facebook, these guys take advantages of whatever you type, you immediately get an ad, right? Though it is not a geolocation, I mean, it is still a geolocation based, because depending on where you are located, so the relevant content and the relevant offers are kind of thrown at you, so that you can, depending on what you're looking at, you get those kind of relevant offers and all, right? So that is also another kind of use case that you can talk about. Is there anything else, Sri, you would like to add here?
Yeah, you had covered most, but for me, if I want to summarize that again, Santosh, is if you talk about the use cases that can be launched using a holistic CDP, I would split it into 4 categories: customer experience related use case, where you personalization of your content through the data that we may have, or making sure the right contact policy governance framework is there and the data points are there. So that's more from my experience perspective. Then the use case that you highlighted, which fall under the marketing engagement kind of use cases, we can have data monetization use case, another revenue stream that the customer or enterprises can have using our platform, where they can securely allow other partners to use the data to do the marketing. You can have the data monetization use case. You can have a risk management use case, fraud management, anomaly detection, those kind of use cases. So having a holistic CDP, these are the various types of use cases that you can launch, which from a platform perspective.
Sure. Okay, so the next thing, it is along the same line. I suppose it is the logical successor to this question, and I'll use the principle of superposition, where this question goes out to both of you. Would you like to highlight the collaboration between Noesis and Teliolabs towards addressing the customer issues and towards CDP?
Right. So thanks for asking that, Anag. So basically, our collaboration dates back to a few years, and it's been a very successful collaboration where Teliolabs and Noesis, we have worked together implementing the solutions for various telcos and banking sector, even the retail. Right. So wherein I think what strikes me most is basically the speed at which we deliver the services, implement this holistic CDP solution for the customers. Thereby, we create a lot of value for them. Okay, so be it understanding the customer as a whole, and segmenting those customers and engaging with those customers in real time, wherein we unlock a lot of hidden opportunities which the business enterprise could leverage to their advantage and stay ahead of the competition, right? And so this is more from a business side of things. The other, if I look at the other aspect, where the technology side of the things, the platform is very, very seamless. It's been proven. I mean, it's a 10 years old decade product, wherein, I mean, I think Sri can talk more about that, but from my perspective as solution integrators, so we have seen a very high scalability and resilience in this platform, wherein it can process billions of records at ease, right? So if you look at any telcos or banks, they have billions and billions of records flowing every day, and the platform can scale to a very great extent, and the overall kind of speed of execution is really, really fast. And being a low code no code platform, also it provides a lot of leverage to us and to the customers as well, creating value for them. Sri, you would like to add anything here?
Oh, definitely, Santosh. See, for a product company like us, it's very important that we have a very good partners who can implement for our solutions or our platform to our customers. And Teliolabs have been wonderful in that way, where they've provided, we have been, as Santosh was highlighted, we've been working with them for quite a few years, and they have set up a good team which is very knowledgeable in our platform, which is very critical, because end of the day, our partners are the ones who make sure that the right implementation is done, and our customers realize the full value of the platform. So in that way, Teliolabs has been wonderful. They have good knowledge of our platform, and also they provide that additional consulting to our customers to better use our platform in various other ways. Because as Santosh has mentioned, our platform is not a new kid in the block. We have been there for 10 years now, being implemented in more than 15 tier 1 companies, which means that those much of implementation experience have gone into the platform to make it a very, very powerful platform from a capability perspective. And knowing all those capabilities is very critical, and Teliolabs has that capability, and very happy to be working with them, and having had quite a few successful projects where they've implemented, and customers have been happy with our platform through that implementation.
Well, there you have it, folks. This has been such an information-packed session. Thank you so much. Thank you, Santosh. Thank you, Sri. Thank you for sharing the expertise and experience that you have. The amount of upgradation, I'd say, in our understanding of CDP and how businesses and enterprises can utilize the benefits that CDP offers to increase their customer base, to augment their revenue, and to do all things positive for their business can be done. I'd like to this is a call for action for our audience. I'd like to request you to keep communicating with us, keep engaging with us through our channels on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you so much for joining. See you in the next session. Thank you so much, Sri and Santosh.
Thank you very much. And I would also say that we would be very, very happy to take any sort of audience questions or queries. Please feel free to shoot out to us. I mean, if you need any sort of clarification. Thank you very much. And thank you for listening to us patiently.
Pleasure being with you guys, and great working with Teliolabs. Thanks.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thanks.